Hi, welcome to showitier.com. Show it live here on showitier.com. I don't know what I'm going to say anymore.
I think Field needs a little more coffee. You guys, welcome to Show It Live. This is a weekly webcast produced by our team here at Show It. This is Field, and I'm Liz, and we're part of the team here. And each week we bring on a different guest or guests, as today, and we talk about a topic that is related to the photography industry, small business ownership, and just creative life in general.
Yeah. And today's a great day.
That's such a good day.
It is. We say this every week because
we actually mean it.
Yeah, every week we have awesome guests like Ashley and Coty Henry. So yeah, we're really excited about today. Now, some other fun stuff here around Show It. We have a Show-a-tier of the week, and these people are near and dear to our hearts.
Show-a-tiers of the week. This is a couple.
Yeah, near and dear to our hearts because I've known them for a couple years now, and they're super great people. And one of them happened to design that awesome little intro, like stuff flying.
It's called a stinger. For those of you that don't know,
there you go.
Video lingo. I don't know video lingo. Yeah, it's called a stinger.
It's called a stinger. So so Dan and Aaron DeZago of DeFoto Cinema. Just super wonderful people, and their work is amazing.
It is so beautiful. They do. This is not hybrid photography, right? This is like a mix of still photos and video that they do for their couples. And Dan is just really, really talented with the video, and Aaron is so good at working with brides and just evoking that emotion from them. And I love to look at their work. I love their website. They recently just did a little bit of an update to their Show It desktop and their custom mobile site, which is great.
And they look amazing.
They do.
The mobile is one of my favorite things. So you can go check them out at defotocinema.com. Now, I've actually been to a wedding where they were the photographer and videographer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a super sweet
couple. It's a small world out here in Arizona.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Speaking of Arizona, Arizona is a good place to be. Maybe not right now, although our weather today is a little bit cooler than we're used to. We were just saying it's only 95 degrees right now, which is quite impressive for 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But Arizona is a good place to be in October.
It's the best place to be in October.
Why is that, Phil?
Well, we suffer through the summer just to get to October, November, December. But it's the best place specifically this October, the 18th through the 21st, because Show It United is happening here in Scottsdale, Arizona at the Fire Sky Resort. It's this fabulous resort. You can go to showitunited.com. Find out more information, but United is a life-changing event for creatives. People meet their best friends there. They get tons of quality information for their businesses, portfolio work if they want to use the styled shoots for that.
Some amazing styled shoots that are booked.
Yeah. Otherwise, just great learning experience all the way around, and you get to meet and hug a couple hundred people, and it's wonderful.
You get to spend a lot of time with your friends, which is great. And we're super excited about it. And I don't even know if you know this.
I don't know.
We only have 10 tickets left.
I did not know that. Yeah. That's really exciting.
So if you want a ticket to United, you gotta hurry up and grab one of those, and we would love to have you join us and be one of the lucky 10 people to grab one of the last 10 tickets.
And if you're like our guests and you live in Ohio, where it will be snowing, it'll be miserable, it'll be incredibly cold. You come out.
You'll be walking uphill to your wedding both ways in the snow.
I used to do that growing up, but not to a wedding. But you'll come here and you'll get here on Sunday, and it'll be probably 80 degrees, and you'll get out your swimsuit, and we'll have a pool party, a beach party actually. Yeah. And it sounds terrible, right? So just go to showitunited.com, click on register, get registered, be one of the remaining 10 people that get to come.
And there are still styled shoots that you can grab as well. There are a handful of those left to get. So you can go and get those two things and join us.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
So without further ado, we want to introduce you to the amazing Ashley and Coty Henry. Like Phil mentioned, they are photographers. They are from Ohio, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. And there are so many talented show-atiers and photographers that actually live in Ohio.
And Ohio is great because it's one of the easiest states to spell.
Really?
Just throwing that out there.
Just throwing that out there because it's
O on both ends, high in the middle. It's a very friendly state.
Oh, I never thought about that. You guys, welcome to the show.
Hi.
We're so excited that you're here. We're good.
Yeah.
We're hanging in there.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
I like this. We have bald guy with beard, pretty girl, bald guy with beard, pretty girl. This is set up really well.
It looks good.
Field is really excited when there are beards and bald heads on the show.
Beards.
It's a good community.
Each beard you add, it's exponentially more awesome. It's a mathematical equation. I can't remember.
My daughter, anytime she sees a bald man with a beard, she's like, look, it's Mr. Field. Or if she sees another beard with like hair, she's like, look, it's Mr. Jason. And I'm like, honey, those are not the same people. But
there are worse things to be associated with.
This is true. Well, you guys, we are so glad that you're here with us today. And I was hoping that you could tell a little bit more about your background, because today we're really going to jump into how you keep motivated in your business. But tell our viewers a little more about Ashley and Coty Henry and how you got started on this great photography adventure.
Well, I started photography kind of when I was in high school, which is kind of cliche to say, but it's true. About 8 years ago, we got married, and on our honeymoon, Coty asked me about photography. He's like, maybe I should do this with you, because our wedding photographers were a husband and wife team. So, but back in 2007, there weren't a lot of couples that did this. So it kind of sounded crazy to even think that we would do it. But kind of like the next year, we booked 25 weddings our first year. And then the second year, we booked 45. So Coty then decided it would probably be a good idea to go full time, because me managing 45 weddings by myself sounded awful. So yeah.
I can't even imagine what managing 45 weddings. I mean, at most in a year, I think I've shot 18, and that was the most. And I can't even imagine. So
yeah, it was unimaginable. We have never done that again.
You wouldn't want to go back to that.
No, not at all. No. 2010 was more like a normal year for us. So after that, we averaged around like 30 weddings a year, and we've kind of always had the same kind of brand and mentality of having a classic look, and not really doing too much to our pictures, and giving our clients exactly the way their day looked, but better. So yeah, that's a little bit about how we started. But that was 8 years ago, so it's kind of crazy that we've made it this far. But we're excited that we're still going.
Yeah, it's awesome. And speaking of still going, that's why we wanted to bring you guys on the show today to talk about how you keep the momentum going in your business, because it's really easy to become complacent or overwhelmed. Maybe not even complacent, overwhelmed with 45 weddings, and how you do that, and how you even think about booking for the following year. And so you guys came up with 5 tips, is that right? And maybe a bonus 6 tips.
Yeah, there's a bonus in there.
Yeah, I follow.
There's
the
really
rules,
12, but I kind of tamed her down.
Yeah, which I thought
So
it
many
was hard
tips.
to come up with 5, but I came up with 6.
That's awesome. So what's the first tip for keeping momentum going in your business?
Well, one of the things that I would like to share was that we averaged around like 30 to 35 weddings a year. And last year, so I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, but we had our daughter in 2010, which changed our business a little bit. When you add a child into that world, you have a little bit more of things kind of riding on you. You know, you're like, I have to raise a child, and I have to pay for her clothes. So you can't just be hopping on a plane whenever you want. So it changed our mentality of our business, and it changed our lives. Well, fast forward a couple years into that, we dealt with miscarriages and infertility. And while our business was going really well, our personal life was kind of struggling. So we were going through grief and, kind of trying to keep the mentality of our business going. But at the same time at home, we were struggling. Last year, we got pregnant with twins, and that changed everything. I mean, we love our business and we love our clients, but we were trying hard to balance the two. And so we felt like we kind of dropped the ball a little bit. So this year in January, our boys were born in November, and they spent a month in the hospital. And by January, they were home, and it felt as if Coty and I kind of came up from a fog. And we were kind of starting to realize that we did not have a lot of weddings booked. I remember the conversation, Coty and I were in our office, and I'm like, how many weddings do we have?
We definitely had like that freak out moment.
We did.
So.
Which I
feel like we have it every year, but Yeah.
Well, yeah, now looking back, it's kind of like when you're skinny and you look back and you're like, oh, I was so skinny. I should have cherished that moment. I should have cherished the moments when we had 20 weddings, so we didn't feel like a lot, but it was a lot.
Sometimes you don't find out until you go to put on that shirt and you're like, why is this so tight?
You should have cherished that moment.
How many weddings do we have? I think we've all been there.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, how many weddings do we have next year? And you're like, well, right now we have 5. And it's like 5. That's a little off our number.
Yeah,
you know? And so,
it's easy to get nervous and all of a sudden go, how did we get here, and not realize that this is where we are. But there are things that you can do to correct that and kind of keep the momentum going and start churning it up a little bit again.
Right. Well, that was one of the first things that we did. And in January, one of our first decisions was to rebrand, and that's when we joined Show It. We weren't a part of Show It until this year, and I saw a lot of friends who used it, and I'm like, I don't know, I just never thought about it. And then every time I hopped on someone's website, they were obviously a Show It site, so it was pretty clear that's what we wanted to do, and it was really easy to use and for us to design a site, and so we did that ourselves. So the first thing we did was we rebranded, but we also did a workshop in DC with some ladies. I think both of them have a Show It site, which is awesome. But that kind of jumped us into being kind of in a position where we realized that we really needed to get creative. We needed to figure out what kind of style we wanted to keep going with. And so that was the first thing that I wanted to encourage people to do, was go to a workshop or get some education. I mean, obviously, Show It, you guys have videos every Tuesday. So, I mean, there's free education right there. There's a lot of people that I have admired over the years, and they all have videos and tons of education on their blogs. And that was one of the first things that I had to realize, that even though I've been doing this 8 years and we've shot over 250 weddings, I still don't know everything. Because if you take...
And we never, our first 7 years, we never did a workshop. Never did anything like that. And I know that's crazy because now it seems like everyone's going to them, but I don't know. We just never felt like I'm kind of a penny pincher, I guess. So I never felt like spending the money on it. But when we finally did, I mean, there's definitely the benefits we saw. So.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that I loved doing, was just kind of furthering the education. I think it's really important to stay on top of trends, but kind of filter it into your style. Because I mean, because we shoot film and we have a little bit more of a fine art approach to our style. You know, we can't blog a wedding on a Thursday. I love Caitlin James, and she's always been my favorite. And I went to their Come Together event in June with Amy and Jordan and Caitlin, and I loved it. But I was like, I can't blog a wedding on Thursday. I shoot film. My film's not back yet. So it was really hard, but I got so encouraged by you know, the blogging and then the social media, and so that kind of, for us, we learned so much. And it was just a small little get together. It was like the Come Together event. It was just a couple hours, but I learned so much, and that was just a little piece of something that we were able to do.
Yeah, and I think that's key, is realizing like what works for some people won't work for everybody. Like we shoot film, and I love it when people are like, "Oh, here's a sneak peek." It's like, well, I could do a sneak peek, but it's digital, and I don't really like it, but you know, I'll do it anyways. And then and then the next day, it's like, here's the wedding, and I'm like, I'm 7 days out from getting my scans back, you know, and it's like, that's cool. But
so you just adjust the rhythm, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, you know, the week after the wedding you've just shot, you're maybe you're showing the wedding from 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just a different rhythm.
Yeah, but what I love about that is it's that realization that not everything works for everybody, you know, and it's like you adjust to, you know, your strengths and your talents and all that. And obviously, like, I think film's better, but you know, it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, right. You have a preference. You have something that you find out what works for you. So, anyways,
and that's your style. You have to be true to who you are, and I think that helps you then to advance the brand. And then it makes sense to rebrand when you know exactly who you are and who you want to talk to. So, what was point number 2 on this list?
Point number 2 is building relationships with your clients. One of the things that I've always done is send a sheet out to all my brides, and they fill it out and they tell me all about their wedding, and they tell me the time of their ceremony and where they want to go for pictures, and then we talk about it before the wedding. But this year it was a little bit different. I felt like I wanted to get to know people a little bit more. I wanted to build a little bit more of a relationship with them, know about you know, where they're from and how they met, how they got engaged, what they do on a regular date. I just wanted to kind of get to know them a little bit deeper rather than just knowing the colors of their wedding. And so that, I'm gonna let Cody kind of talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we've always kind of built that relationship with our clients. I think this year, kind of going back to just the way we've rebranded, and we're going for this more fine art approach to things, is we don't want to book 40 weddings a year. You know what I mean? We want to lower that and spend more time on each of our clients. And we really feel like building that relationship with our clients, it shows them that we're invested in them. Mm-hmm. And because we're investing in them, they then trust us more. And so on the wedding day, it really helps out, because it's almost like you're shooting friends' weddings. And when you feel like you're shooting a friend or a family's wedding, you're going to take better care of that. You're gonna, go through that process with 100%, rather than just feel like, it's another Saturday, another wedding. So we really focus on building those relationships, more so than, not that we didn't, but more so going forward. And I think that's really helped us.
Yeah, and I also have felt like we have almost kind of got the blessings from that, as in like the referrals, and you obviously want a referral. You also want a nice review sometimes, but it's just nice knowing that our couples have kind of, months after their wedding, we still chat on Facebook, and I keep up with them. Their mom follows me on Instagram, and they check on our twins. It's just, there's just little things. I do feel like you just for the future, I feel like you'll bless your business a lot more. And you'll feel more motivated to do a better job on when you're shooting your wedding. And it's just, I feel like there's also little details that our couples will talk to me about. And that going into the wedding day, you kind of know. You already know that the grandma passed away a month ago, and she's wearing her mom's veil, and that they put the lace from her grandma's dress on the veil. So you remember those little things, and then you photograph it, and then after the wedding, they just love that you even thought of that. And so kind of getting that information before and getting to know them, it really helps with just how the whole overall experience is, which the client experience, it's huge right now in the business. So,
well, and yeah. I think that helps like across the board with the whole wedding day, the whole experience. Mm-hmm. It helps photographers prevent burnout, because you're not going to shoot a wedding. You're going there to meet and love and just encourage people. Like Carrie and I shot this wonderful Indian wedding in San Francisco, and it was hard. It was 3 days, and there were 14-hour days for us. It didn't even feel like it, because the family was just so amazing. Everybody, we were there, we felt like part of the family. And so by the end of the trip, you're like, oh wow, I'm really sore. I'm glad I didn't feel this during the 3 days. Like all I felt was love and building those relationships and hanging out with wonderful people. And I mean, that whole thing, it changes your entire business.
That's great. I love that. And if you guys are out there in the chat, we'd love to hear if you have any ways that you connect with your brides and your grooms. We'd love to know about those. I know different photographers do. Amy and Jordan get everybody together for like a barbecue or for ice cream. And I know Caitlin does some of those things. And other photographers, they're just out there. They're getting glasses of wine. Ryan Reed takes all of her brides out, and they just have a glass of wine and get to know each other. And then I think that's where you find yourself, and you're like crying during the first look, and you're like, I have to stop this. I'm shooting the first look. But you're like in the moment with them because you love them as a friend. It's great.
Yes.
And we start that client experience at the very beginning, even like the initial meeting. I sometimes ask them like what their favorite Starbucks drink is, or if they have a favorite beer. We found out one of our couples they had their moving truck, I think, in the parking lot. They had just moved from Colorado to Ohio. I don't know why, but we were okay with it. So I went out to like a local I think it was like a beer shop or something, and we bought a bunch of beer from Colorado, because I heard beer's pretty cool out there. So, and they loved that. It was that little personal touch that I felt like kind of went a long way. But we start that kind of experience right at the beginning, just kind of getting to know them, and I think that helps. Not that it ensures us to get the booking, but I think it helps give them, a better taste in the mouth when they leave.
And another thing we do during the meetings is we really focus on them, ask them a lot of questions, get to know them. Clients love that. I mean, just people in general, when you ask them questions, rather than talking about yourself, it really helps them, love that about you and trust you more.
That's awesome. You guys pour a lot personally into your clients, but your third tip I thought was really important because it was about pouring personally back into yourselves, into your family, and setting some boundaries. Can you walk us through that?
Yes. So our what are we on third point? Our third point is taking personal time. Yes, third. Taking personal time. This is something because we shot 35, 40 weddings the last, 6, 7 years. We didn't do a lot. And we would find ourselves towards the end of the wedding season, as Phil was saying, kind of feeling like you're kind of burned out. So this year, we don't have a wedding every weekend. And it's actually been nice because it allows us to get that personal time to, kind of refresh, recuperate, spend time with the kids or family or go do something. And I feel like when you do that, it gets you more excited for your next wedding. You're not shooting constantly all, 40 weeks in a row. You get that time off and then you look forward. I know we've looked forward to each wedding we have now because we've had that time off and we're able to kind of recuperate.
Right. And I think I just always remember feeling like I almost like, I call it Crytober. I don't call it October because October's insane for photographers, whether it's portraits, engagements, and weddings. We just have it all just clumps together within that like mid-October time here in the Midwest when everything's really beautiful outside and everybody wants like that. Anyways, it's crazy. So I always would dread it. And I felt like it's because I didn't have boundaries and I didn't have anything set up where I took personal time and I took a weekend off. I'm not saying say no to a wedding. I think that's probably key. For the first couple of years, our mentality was book as much as you can for as long as you can. And because we did that the first like 4 or 5 years, it was really hard. But now we're able to set aside some time for our family and to do like style shoots and to go to workshops. So we're going to a workshop in September in Texas, and we're excited that we're able to kind of take that time just for Coty and I to be a couple and just maybe go to dinner without like babies screaming. So it's really fun. But taking that personal time, I think, is so huge. And boundaries, one of the things that I always learned a long time ago was a key boundary is to kind of set up, not that you have hours like in your day, but maybe like set aside time where you shut your phone off or you don't answer any emails, or you don't do anything on a Sunday, or don't book anything on a Sunday. It's little boundaries like that. And it has to be personal. It has to be like your style. Because I know some people are like, I'll email all day long. And if it works for you, that's fine. If you feel totally good in October, then good for you. I don't. I have to have like some time off and prefer, just being not a photographer. I feel like it's hard to kind of take that photographer hat off and do everything, but it is kind of nice to just chill once in a while. So yeah.
It's definitely the blessing and the curse, right? Of being a photographer, where that laptop can go with you anywhere. And you're like, I can answer emails from bed while binge watching something on Netflix. Yeah. And sometimes you should just be binge watching on Netflix or turning off the TV and talking to your husband.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
it's important.
There's this trend going around called Orange Days.
Yes.
Orange Days, which are days. So Amy and Jordan they had this great talk, and they're talking about Orange Days, and Orange Days are where nothing goes on the calendar.
Oh, nice.
No client meetings, no this, no that. Like, it's just a day to relax, to hang out with your spouse, or your friends, what have you, if you're not married.
Or be with your kids. Go and do something special with them.
I'd rather hang out with my spouse. My kids are great, but my spouse, she's the best. No, and so that's so huge for maintaining a long, successful business is days off. So anyway, I love that one.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
Rest and personal boundaries are really important. What was number 4 on the list, guys?
I think it might have been join a community. And I don't know, I've got them mixed up, but I'm going to talk about that one because I think it's huge, because for us this year, there's been a huge uprising of community over competition. I know Natalie Frank's been talking a lot about it, Mr. Jones, and it's crazy because in the last 8 years, we never had anything like this. I think I would have loved to have like, a lot of friends in the business, but it just never felt like that. Columbus can be kind of saturated sometimes, almost all the time, which I'm sure a lot of cities are. Yeah. But it just never really felt like we had a huge community. And this year, it seemed like Coty and I were joining a little bit more of it and kind of getting involved, and we've made it friends. And because I feel like it's hard for me to separate work from life, it's just better to make friends who are in the business so I can just talk about it all the time. Yeah. So when my girlfriends and I get together, we're just all photographers. So it just makes things so much easier. But I think for business-wise, it's nice to have a good community of friends who know what you're going through, and they help keep you creative and they keep you inspired. And I recently did a style shoot for some girls for a pursuit group, and it was awesome to see all of them working and all of us kind of encouraging each other. And from that, I think some other things have started happening, and it kind of jumpstart me to start doing more style shoot for photographers. And I think that helped us a lot, because it seems like there's just, sometimes it just felt like we're out alone and with not a care in the world and no one to talk to. And so this year it kind of helped us have more friends, I guess. Yeah. But it does help with the business, having referrals and someone to send someone that, I mean, just recently we started a group. It's like a fine art photography group in here in Ohio. And it's just with a nice group of community. We're able to kind of chalk on there and kind of converse and share a blog. And when we have a wedding that we're already booked, we ask them if they're available. So then we're sending a bride a couple of photographers' names that we like and we respect, and their work is awesome. So I think having a nice community of photographers or just friends, it's really key in keeping yourself motivated.
So shameless plug here. So mind this shameless plug. Carrie and I have been photographers for 5 years, professional photographers, and I've only worked at Show Up for a year and a half. So I can kind of give this shameless plug. We never felt that. We never felt like we didn't have friends in the industry or anything because of this community. Like the Show It Tears community has always been there. And I can get choked up about this because we wouldn't have a business if it weren't for this community. And it makes me so happy and makes me so sad, because I hear this story all the time. Like, we did this for 8 years and we were alone. Yeah. I just talked to, there's this great photographer here. Her name is Leslie Lacar, and I just met her, and she'd been doing this since 2000. So that's 15 years. That's and she never had a community. No. And she always felt alone. And it just breaks my heart knowing that people are out there without this sense of, like, the whole community over competition thing. That's a big thing right now, and Rising Tide is doing an amazing job with it. But that's been here with Show It since day one, and I just feel so bad for people who don't have that. So if you don't have that, contact me, reach out to me, come to United, do something, because there's no reason for you to be alone in this.
No, and that was something that we did feel like right when we got our website.
Right when we joined
Coty was like messaging someone, like, okay, our website isn't live, but we just want to be in the Facebook group. And they were like, your website must be live.
That was me.
We were like, well, then get it live. Like, let's go. So we could be in the Facebook group.
Ashley, get it done.
I know. So, but once we joined, it was nice just to hear the encouragement, and then people sharing their new sites, and just pretty much any topic. I feel like all the topics are nothing's off the table. So it's really nice to have a Show It community as well.
Yeah, and it goes well beyond just the Facebook internet groups. This, there's local meetups, there's other opportunities to meet all throughout the year, and Show It show up strong.
They do
at pretty much every event. So
it's really been neat to see the Show It groups are growing, and the Rising Tide Society is growing, and they've got amazing groups. If you are interested in joining that, and you can join their Facebook group, which exploded over the last 2 weeks. I mean, I think it went from 300 people to 4,000.
And you can do that without being a Show It subscriber. The Show It Tears group, that was me messaging Coty and being like, no, no, it wasn't like that. But basically, it's like, no, it's only for subscribers. But the Rising Tide community, you don't have to use Show It or anything like that. But
no, it's great.
Just a great place.
It's so true, though. I started using Show It about a year after I started my business. And if it wasn't for Show It, I wouldn't be a photographer anymore. I think I would have sold my gear and just said, these are not my people, because I want joyful, friendly, encouraging people. And it's great. You have to, once you go and find them, then you also have to put yourself out there. You have to be willing to be a little brave and go to the meetups and talk in the groups and get to know people. And they'll embrace you and they'll love you.
For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So number 5, which actually was number 4, but it doesn't really matter what order we went in. And I loved this one, and I'm excited to hear you expand on it. And it was work without expectation. What does that mean to you?
Okay, so you have to bear with me because sometimes my thoughts ramble. So Coty will probably nudge me under the table to tell me to wrap it up. But so when Coty and I got pregnant with our second baby, we actually miscarried around 13 weeks. And our lives kind of changed literally from that point on. And not to get too deep into it, but that changed our whole mentality about our children and our lives together, that nothing's guaranteed. And it's just how we were. We then got pregnant the next year, and we lost that baby at 15 weeks. And again, but going into that pregnancy, it was a completely different pregnancy. I don't remember. I maybe complained once. It probably, I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to complain about anything, because I was just so grateful for the blessing that God had given us. And what is crazy is that fast forward to this year is that God's kind of helped us have that same mentality with our business, that we always expected, 30 weddings. It's just how it's been. And we're like, it'll just come to us. Mm-hmm. God's always provided, and we've always had 30 weddings. This is awesome. Well, this year we didn't. We had, I think, 16. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's half. That is half of our income that we usually get. And so we just took on that same mentality that nothing's guaranteed. Nothing should be expected. And then we have to work with what we have. Mm-hmm. And that's how we kind of went into it. When we rebranded everything down to our client experience, to our packaging, to our website, to how we treat our clients, that sometimes you find yourself in like the 6th email in about a timeline, and you're just thinking, will you just listen to me? I know better than you. That's okay. It's helped me kind of take on the mentality that it's okay. She doesn't know. She will figure it out by listening to me, because I know better than anybody. But that's just how it goes. But I think that that's kind of helped me have a better heart about stuff and a better attitude going into weddings and with all of our clients, good and bad. I mean, I would love to have the dream bride every single wedding. And fortunately, I feel like we do. But that's helped us with this. And when you're shooting a wedding and when you're dealing with the client afterwards, we have kind of taken on the mentality that you shouldn't expect a referral. We can't expect them to, help us further our business. But if we do our best and we treat them like we have no other clients, then I do feel like there will probably be blessings from that. Mm-hmm. And that's how we've kind of taken on. And I know Coty, in the car we were talking about this, and she's like, well, expectations are different than goals. And that is true, because I do feel like we've set some goals this year, and we've kind of met a lot of them, and it's kind of awesome that it's happened that way. But goals are different than expectations. If you go into your wedding season and you just expect 30 weddings just the way it could, because that's how it's been, then that's different. But if you have goals set that you want to book, there are different, because you can have a goal, but you can also say, okay, to live, we need at least 15 weddings to live, to pay for a house. That is different. But it is good to set goals and have that and try to meet them. But that, I feel like goals, you want to meet those. Meeting expectations, I think, is sometimes different. So I hope that made sense. About expectations. I know it can be a tricky subject. So yeah.
I think it totally makes sense. The only expectation is that this is going to be a struggle, and hashtag the struggle is real. Like no matter what, even best clients, best everything, like life is not easy.
Yeah. Life gets in the way, and small business ownership it isn't a simple, easy thing.
And there's no guide to success.
No, yeah, there's not a silver bullet, but it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of late nights. But I loved what your sort of 6th bonus tip was. And it was about staying humble and being grateful for the bookings you do have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, early on when we first started a business, someone told us 2 things. He said, which it's crazy. Anyways, first thing he said was book as many weddings as you can for as long as you can. And second thing is, the moment that you feel like you've made it, stop that thought, because that's when everything's going to fall apart. Yeah. Because you can't ever feel like, I have finally made it. Like today, we've been on Show It Live. I'm not going to leave here and say I've made it. No offense. No. Because that's not good.
I'm on Show It Live every week, and I don't think I've made it. Yeah.
I feel like there is sometimes a level of gratitude that you should have for your clients. At the beginning of this year, we went through our calendar and we're like, these are all the dates that we don't have weddings. And I wrote them all out and I put them on a board. Well, halfway through the year, I ripped them all down, and then I wrote down all the weddings that we had dates on and who the couple was, and I put them on the wall. And I said, instead of thinking about the dates that we don't have weddings, why don't we think about the dates that we do have weddings, and let's be thankful for those. Let's be humble that they chose us and they decided to invest in us for a reason, and let's just totally spoil them and be happy for them and just love on them, because they are the only reason that we're still doing what we're doing. So that's kind of, I don't know, Coty probably wants to elaborate on that. He's nodding, like, I want to say something.
Just agreeing with you. But no, if you take one of these 6 points more so than the other, it would be that one. Because I feel like from that one, you can get to all the other points. So if you stay humble, through your humbleness, you're going to want to, build a better relationship with your client and, do education and all that. So I think that's the key one. If there were one,
they all kind of like tie together. And I just taught, and not to bring up the infertility that we went through, but I always kind of struggled when women would complain about being pregnant, and they're like, "Oh, I got pregnant again," and I'd be like, so it would be hard. And I kind of took that on this year when people would be complaining about all the weddings that they were having, and we were over here with 16 weddings. I was like, stop complaining. Like, come on. Go bust your butt and have fun, because we don't have a wedding for the next 3 weekends. Now, mind you, it is kind of nice to have a weekend off here and there, but it was weird not having weddings. That personal time we talked about earlier, it wasn't like we purposely only had that many weddings. It was kind of like a happy accident. I think us not having a lot of weddings this year kind of forced us into changing our mindset of our business. It forced us into getting more motivated to do a better job and figure out why we didn't book as many weddings as we did. And one of the things that we did end up doing was we raised our prices a little bit, which you would think if you didn't book a lot of weddings, you would lower them. We ended up raising them, which was weird. It was pretty, like, we should do it. And I was freaking out. But we did it, and we ended up, we already have how many? I think we have like 12 for next year, which was pretty awesome. But it just seemed like the things that we were applying, the things that we were doing, it was starting to work. And even though we weren't seeing the almost the blessings of it this year, we're seeing it for next year. And I think that is, to me, it feels like it's an even bigger blessing that we're booking that many weddings for next year. So that's good.
Yeah, totally. Changing your outlook just kind of changes the whole perspective on everything, and
sure.
It changes your attitude, and I think that's great.
Attitude is everything.
It's huge.
I firmly believe that, and how you handle these situations really reflects on who you guys are, and I think it's awesome.
You guys, this was so great. Thank you so much for 5 plus a bonus tip, and I love the bonus tip. I think you're right. I think that's the one that's at the heart of it all.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Really, it was so fun.
Really appreciate it. And thanks for everybody who joined us in chat. Morgan, Carrie, Amanda, we love you all. Thanks for coming, and everybody else who's on there that I can't see on the screen right now. Thank you.
Field can't see very well that far away.
It's the vision thing. But anyways,
tiny.
You can join us next week.
Yes, next week we are going to have a special in-studio guest. Rachel Earl is going to be here from Earl and Lane. She's an amazing designer, and we're going to talk about fonts. Yeah. And I think it's all
about the fonts.
It's all about the fonts. And believe it or not, it really is. That's such a huge part of branding and design.
It says a lot about you.
Yeah. So we're going to go through kind of the process of choosing the right font for your brand. And Rachel's got just some amazing information to share. I think it's going to be really helpful whether you are designing on your own, or you're working with a designer, or you're just trying to understand more about what you say by the font you choose to use.
Maybe you saw some of those new style groups that got put in to show it, and you're like, okay, it's time to redesign. What fonts do I use? You're definitely going to want to pick Rachel's brain. So you'll be able to ask her questions during the show. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun, and we've got a great lineup of shows coming up for you in the next month or so, and we're super excited about those. Remember, there are about 10 tickets left for United, and you can go and grab those, and then make sure that you come back and you join us for Show It Live next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good day.
Thank you.
They're not talking this one. No.